Hi guys, Alice Taylor down at Lytham Golf Academy, and today we're going to take a look at driver shaft length. So is potentially going shorter better? Now obviously over the last few years manufacturers talking more and more about driver hitting the ball further. So what they've tended to do as standard is actually increase the length of the shaft. Theory being the longer lever will get the club head moving quicker. Now that's all well and good as long as you can still find the correct part of the club face and have some control. So I've got two different length shafts. I've got a 45.5 inch, which is kind of standard in this driver, and a 44.5 inch. So we're going to use the Callaway XR Speed. I'm going to set the driver at 8 degrees, and I've got the Project X Hazardous 6.0 in both. I'm going to hit 5 real balls with each length shaft on GC2. We're going to look at the performance of the shots, and we're also going to look at my ability to control the club to get the strike. I'm going to see which one comes out best. So I'm going to start off with standard 45.5 inch. Like I said, 5 shots, and this is the length I'm currently using in my driver. So it feels very kind of normal. But let's hit the balls and off we go. Okay, so definitely turned that over a lot more than I was looking to. Only 261, and that would ultimately miss the fairway. And this is the key thing, you know, I talk a lot in my videos about getting fitted correctly, you know, even in shaft length, and I don't think that gets looked at enough for golfers. So shot 2. Felt really, really solid, that one. Good distance, that'd be down the left edge with me aiming a little bit, maybe too straight with that one. So again, let's just aim a little bit further right to hit my kind of stock little draw. And turning over a little bit more. I mean, distance-wise is good, but certainly, you know, these aren't feeling quite as consistently out the middle as I would like them to. So the last couple. Felt good and solid. And again, some decent numbers. Getting out there around that 290. So one final one with 45.5 inches. Again, solid. You know, would I take that every time? Yes. And again, getting out almost that 290 mark. So, like I said, we're going to look at the strike patterns of the two drivers in a bit, but certainly for me, didn't feel that those were consistently right out the middle of the golf club. So, we're going to switch over shafts. And like I said, that just feels kind of normal length for me. That's what I've used for the last 2 or 3 years. And we're going to move into the 44.5 inch shaft. Okay, heads on. Now, I think the thing for a lot of guys is they really, really worry that, you know, we're giving up a lot of speed and therefore distance with that. And certainly as I set up with this, even though that's only an inch shorter, that feels more like a 3 wood in length. But that's okay, don't mind 3 wood. So let's go with this one, see how this works. So straight away felt a better strike. But much closer to the middle. And we like that. Obviously, Big thing with the modern drivers is, forgiving as they are, those kind of off-centre strikes do influence how the ball's going to fly. You know, and very often strikes going to override, to an extent, how you deliver the golf club. So the first one was a good one. Just turning over a little bit more, but again, felt very, very solid with contact. And that was long, nearly 300 yards. Shot 3. Again, straight away with these 3, feels like my contact point has been a lot more central. I was down a little bit on distance. Maybe just felt a touch lower, but still felt very, very centred on the club. It's hard enough hitting it when it stays still. Don't need it moving. It's very, very windy down here today. Shot 4. That felt really solid. Really good strike. Nice and accurate. And again, over that 290. Let's go one final one with the 44.5 inch driver shaft. And again, felt really solid. Definitely for me, you know, again, getting out there just around that 290. Okay guys, so before we look at the performance numbers, let's look at the contact point on the club face, see how consistent they were or inconsistent with the different shaft lengths, and then we'll look at some performance numbers and make a decision as to whether we feel shorter or longer with driver shaft is best. Okay guys, so when we look at the 45.5 inch driver length shaft, we can see even though the strikes are very near the middle of the club face, they're kind of quite spread out. So, you know, nothing really toey or really heely, but obviously I'm delivering the club face fractionally different for the shape, but certainly the ones out the toe, with the line angle being toe up, are definitely going to shape more to the left, and probably for me those ones that were a little bit heely kind of held their line a little bit. So not awful with the ball striking, but not as consistent as I would like that to be. So we move across onto the 44.5 and we can see there a much tighter grouping. The driver not playing quite as toe up, but certainly there some really consistent strikes, very centered but grouping much tighter than we saw for the 45.5 inch. Right then guys, so we looked at actual contact point on the club face, and clearly a big winner there was 44.5 inches. But let's look at the kind of distances and accuracy on the shots and see, did that consistent contact give me much better performance? Okay guys, so I don't know how, but somehow it's managed to delete one of my shots with the longer shaft. But if we look overall there, club head speed almost identical, so I'm losing nothing with the shorter shaft. Ball speed, again, almost identical. I think the key there is probably, I just had one that was slightly quicker, but all in all, didn't see a massive drop off, seeing as though that the strike wasn't fantastic. If we look at spin, I think my average spin was slightly higher with the longer shaft, and I would definitely put that down to the ones that were slightly more heely with the contact. Height of shot was identical. If we look at carry distance, I actually got a couple of yards more out the shorter shaft, and if we look at total, I got a couple of yards longer. Now though, if we look at the average accuracy, you know, it's saying about the same, but I felt there was probably a more consistent shape of shot. Everything was slightly to the left with the shorter shaft, where I had slightly right or bigger left, so I think there was a bigger spread sideways, which again striking my delivery, but overall the shorter shaft slightly edging it. Right then guys, so driver shaft length, does it make a difference, and is longer or shorter better? So certainly in that test for me, consistency of strike, shorter shaft won. Distance, shorter shaft won, and accuracy, shorter shaft won. So definitely The 44.5-inch driver there was no trade-off whatsoever, sacrificing distance. So for me, that inch shorter than standard would give me more control or better influence on the golf ball because my contact point's better, but I was still able to move it as quick. So definitely get yourself down, get fitted. You know, make sure that not it's just the loft and the flexor shaft, but also the length of shaft correct for you to give you that best contact point for the best tee shot. Hope you've enjoyed the video. If you have, like and share it. Comment below. Let me know what shaft length driver you use. Subscribe to my channel if you don't already. Follow me on all the social media platforms, all under Ali Taylor Golf. Hopefully catch up with some of you guys down here in the future. Stay in contact.